Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a good Saturday night. I'm doing all right. I'm really grateful for all my new subscribers, so I just want to say hi and welcome to my channel. I'm really mad tonight. I came on here to talk about Miss Daisy. And Miss Daisy, I'm going to call you out for what you are doing and talking about on your channel tonight. You had Pamela Wells. This is the lady you had right here. Pamela Wells. 71 and still going to jail. Don Wells' ex-wife. She's got a record on her. She had a restraining order against Don because he was abusive to her and the family. There's protective services reports on them. She was also busted for drug use. And yet, Miss Daisy, this is the word that you're going to take of this woman, Don's ex-wife. So, and you're going to take the word of that guy right there, Don Wells, who has been to prison many times, who is a very good manipulator, and he is also a well-trained con man and liar and thief, because he has done all those things in his life. And he admitted about Mary what he did. He said that he put himself in the situation, Miss Daisy. He admitted that he pulled Mary's shirt. So he put her in the situation. So you can either believe this con man right here, this con man who's been in prison, who admitted to S.A.ing his stepsister. He admitted to it online, live. And as far as Margie goes, Margie should be mad that her father sat there and said that he gave his daughter props for being raped, that he gave her kudos for not being such a sissy and whining about it and doing all this stuff. You know what that tells me, Miss Daisy? That tells me that Don doesn't care about his any kind of sexual predatory natures. And you know what else, Miss Daisy? Don told us that he showered with Summer. It doesn't prove anything, but it's inappropriate, and it is a red flag. Don told us that he slept in bed with Summer. It doesn't prove anything, but it's a red flag. Summer was 5 years old, and Jeannie was 5 years old. And they're not the only ones. Mary and Jeannie aren't the only ones that were victims. There's other people that Don has done things to. You can say, well, that's just in Don's past. I mean, who cares? You know, everybody makes mistakes, and everybody says things when they're mad. Miss Daisy, you know that's not true. There's no way that a man or a father or a mother is going to talk like this about their children, act like this about their children. And you know, Miss Daisy, I just about died when you people started going on about poor Candace, and she could have a heart attack, and everybody should just feel guilty, right, Miss Daisy, that Miss Candace could have a heart attack because she's been drinking. She has been an alcoholic for so many years now, and used drugs. And she'll tell you that she didn't use drugs. But I know, because other people have said, many people have said that she was using prescription drugs too. And her mother's prescription drugs. And even if she, allegedly, and even if she wasn't, Candus has been an alcoholic for quite some time. And we know this. So, and she chain smokes practically. And who knows what else, other things she does, Miss Daisy. But, so we're going to cause her to have a heart attack. Why doesn't she stay off YouTube? You know, if Don and Candus were really innocent, like you think they are, Miss Daisy, you think that they didn't have nothing to do with this. But if they really didn't have nothing to do with this and they were innocent, then what is going on YouTube would not be bothering them as much as it does. They always have to prove that they're some great person, and it shouldn't be about them, Miss Daisy, anyways. Why do we gotta care about their feelings? Why do we gotta care about how they feel or what's going on in their life? We care about what's going on with Summer, and we need to find Summer. And Miss Daisy, you're sitting over there telling Trevor, oh, what did you do for Summer? Oh, come on, Miss Daisy. What did you do? So what? You went to a couple vigils that were basically fake because Summer was nowhere around, because the parents know where Summer is. I'm telling you right now. So you were praying with these people for no reason. And you were talking bad about them for a long time. And also, big deal, you hung up some ribbons and went to a vigil. Do you think that you deserve a brownie for that? Because I haven't seen you do anything in this case either to find Summer, okay? And I haven't really seen you bring much awareness about it either. Your channel's crazy, and you guys carry on about some of the stupidest stuff, and I'm sorry, Miss Daisy, it's true. I tried to watch your channel, and whoever these other people are on there with you, it's ridiculous, and their jokes are so dumb. And Miss Daisy, you're supposed to be a Christian, but yet you're going over to Swear Garden's channel and listening to her bull crap and her profanity and her blaspheming the Lord and swearing, vulgar, vile, filthy, talking nasty to people, and the next breath praying. Come on. I think you would have a little bit more discernment than that, Miss Daisy. And I'm sorry that you've been deceived and you've been, the wool's been pulled over your eyes by Don and Candus. And listen, hey, Miss Daisy, they're only looking for help and money and sympathy. That's all they're looking for. They never wanted to act like this before, and now they're trying to act like these poor, pitiful me. Almost 2 years they've been playing games. Do you know, Miss Daisy, that some psychic said that the child would be found in a blue tote? So did you know that Candus and Don thought it was hilarious to put a doll, I believe it was a doll's head, in a blue tote, and thought it was hilarious? People who have a missing child do not act this way, Miss Daisy. I don't care what you say, but you're going to take the word of a felon, somebody who's been in prison for robbery, for breaking and entering, drugs, and Candus has a criminal record, and Pamela Wells has a criminal record. This whole family does, Miss Daisy, and you shouldn't be involved with them, because what are you going to do when you find out the truth? That this is very big and there's a lot of stuff going on. And you want to say that, well, if Don and Candus, were really suspects and they would have been arrested by now. Oh, no. Sometimes the TBI will watch for a long time. I've seen them do it in cases. I watch trials, and they have watched people for a whole year, 2 years, 3 years before they arrested them. They have to have physical evidence, but I believe they have all kinds of other evidence on Don and Candus. But they're not going to tell you that, and they're not going to tell me that. And even if it was somebody else that took Summer, I mean, if it was a stranger abduction, Miss Daisy, the fact remains that there were numerous CPS reports against Don and Candus. Many, many witnesses came forward. And what? 30 people are going to lie, but Don and Candus are the one telling the truth? All these people come forward and say that they had to report them to CPS because of abuse, because Summer was locked in that basement, and they punished her like that, and she would scream and she would cry, and they would keep her down in that basement when they were mad at her, wanted to punish her. And why would you have a little girl sleep in a basement, Miss Daisy, where there was rats? That is proof, because I'm telling you that all the neighbors and all the witnesses said that they had rats in that house, that they had cockroaches, and Prayer Garden herself, Swear Garden herself, talked to Don, and she admitted and said right on one of her lives that Don told her, and she knew that the kids had scabies. The whole family had scabies. And you know what? Don's stepsister talked about this a long time ago, how Don and Pamela and their children had scabies. Okay? And they were removed. And there was a lot of problems going on there. So she wants to act all innocent. You know, the fact is, Miss Daisy, Candus and Pamela both filed protection orders against Don because he's an abusive, violent man. And he has told people that he was afraid he was going to go to prison for being so abusive to his children. And people have known that they are people in the stores, Miss Daisy. Listen, people in the stores seen Candus being mean to Summer and treating them boys different. So I don't know why. You know, you would think if you're really a God-fearing woman and you really love God, that you would have more discernment than this, and you would feel sorry for Summer Wells and not for her parents. You can feel sorry for them when we find Summer, but right now, it's not your job to pity them. It's not at all crazy crime critters on the farm. It is crazy over there. And what you guys are saying is crazy. And it's a bunch of nonsense. And Don and Candus are trying to suck up to you and anybody that will listen to them so they can get donations. And why is Robin over there fixing up Summer Wells' room? Is she coming back? Does Don and Candus know that Summer Wells is coming back? Why would they be investing money? Summer's been gone this long. There is almost a 98% chance that Summer Wells is deceased. They're looking for her body. So why the waste of money? What are they doing over there? And why do you feel that it's your need to be the defender for the Wells? Why do you think that you got to feel sorry for them? Don't you understand that they've caused most of the consequences in their own life? Don't you know that they use God when it's convenient for them? God does not condone the way Don talks. And your friend up there, whoever that person is who is on the channel with you carrying on that, oh, Don just says stuff just to joke around just so people will run with it. Bull crap. Don knows what he's doing. Don knows what he's saying. And I don't care if Don and Candus never did nothing to Summer to have anything to do with her disappearance. They have done things to her in the past. They have hurt her. They lived in a filthy hole of a house. And it was terrible. And no children should have to live like that. And I'm ashamed that you would even think that that's okay to support people that live like that. And all they do is drink and do drugs and do not even care for their children. I don't care how much you say you love your children, they're your whole life. If you don't do any actions to prove that, then you don't. People, many witnesses have said that those children never hardly had enough to eat. Okay? Candus wasn't doing no cooking. Candus was getting stoned or drunk, whatever she likes to do. And Don was visiting the whorehouses and doing drugs and having fun, and still is. And I don't know why Candus puts up with Don. He is abusive to her. He is mean to her. He is controlling of her. And she needs to get rid of Don out of her life, because all he's doing is bringing her down to destruction. She was doing good without him, but then she goes running right back to him. She needs to get a divorce from Don, and she needs to stay away from him, because I know that you two, both of them two, are going to get in trouble, Miss Daisy, and you are going to be really embarrassed when you hear all the things that happen with this child. When all the protective service reports come out in trial, when everything that we've heard about all this time comes out in trial, you're going to be sad that you would defend such a thing. But maybe you won't, because you don't seem like you care. You don't want to care. You just want to believe Don and Candus because you feel sorry for him and blah, blah, blah. Well, they're bullshitters, Miss Daisy. That's what they are. They're very good at conning people. You don't even realize Candus worked for the carnival. Do you know you got to be a con man to work for the carnival? Okay? I'm telling you that they're conning people. They're telling people. And even if they aren't, they have done things to their children. Protective Services doesn't take children away for no reason, Miss Daisy. There has to be abuse in the home, and everything has to be bad for them to be able to take them boys like they did. And they were going to take Summer, and they did something with Summer. Somebody did, or somebody from their church, or someone they know. But all of this is a bunch of nonsense. And you want to talk about a smoke screen? Well, that's what you're doing over there. And I can't believe you talking to Trevor like that. Trevor's a nice kid. He's never done anything. And so is Josh. They've never done anything. And those guys have not said anything that is not true. Everything they say that they have said is true. That they have heard on YouTube from Don Wells or one of his family members. Don puts out so much information, and then he doesn't like it when people talk about it. You know, I just want to tell everybody, and you, Miss Daisy, the other day I was watching a parole hearing for a man who committed crimes against a child. And after, I think it was 40 some years, this guy was 60 years old, he'd been in prison. And they asked him to tell them about what he did, what was the crime that he had committed, and to explain it and to tell them. And he skirted around it. He put the blame off on everybody else. And you know what the parole board said at the end? They said, one of the main things we look for in people to see if they're going to reoffend is if they can admit to themselves the wrongdoing they did, to totally admit it, and to be able to tell the truth. That's the only way that they can ever even try to be rehabilitated. And Don cannot do that. Don says that he's changed after all these years. I'm just going to tell you something right now. You need to do your homework and your research. People who commit SA upon children, they do not change. They have a preference for a young age of a victim that they can perpetrate themselves on. It's because of their immaturity level. They are immature. Don Wells is immature. He was abused as a child, yes, but he has perpetrated these acts, the things that he's learned, on other people. And the chances of him doing something to his daughter, Summer Wells, I mean, he has not changed. He has continued to be in and out of prison his whole life. He has done nothing to prove that he's changed. You know, I get so sick of people saying, well, you shouldn't judge others. You can't judge. Really? Jesus told us to judge. He said to judge a tree by its fruit. If it's bearing bad fruit, man, if you got an apple tree producing rotten apples and looking rotten and acting rotten, smelling rotten, it's a rotten tree. It's not producing good fruit. And so Don Wells and Candus can talk all they want, but it's the fruit of their life that's going to show. It's what God has done in them and how they've changed. And I do not see any change in them at all. Oh, they're being calm right now because they've been told to stay off of YouTube. They got a gag order on them. They're not supposed to be on there making a fool of themselves. And that's what they did for almost 2 years. And what now? They're sad. Now they're sorry. What? Because they know that they lost their boys, and it's getting down to the nitty gritty that they might get in trouble for this with Summer. And you know, Don and Candus cannot stand it. They cannot stand it if you talk about their parenting or anything about them. You want to know why? They got to look good in the eyes of the public. They can't be seen like this because then they look guilty. And they can't collect any kind of money off of Summer's case, see? Don, you know, I was reading an article the other day by one of the news sources, and they said that Don Wells would not accept an interview with them because they were local. He only wanted the mainstream big media to talk about how his children were kidnapped by Department of Social Services, Protective Services. They didn't kidnap your children, Don and Candus. You know dang well you lost them because of the consequences of your own things, actions, because of what you've done. You've lost a lot of children because of what you've done. And you know, I feel sorry for you in some degrees because, you know, drug addicts and alcoholics and people that have been in prison, it's really hard for them to really function in a healthy way and to raise kids in a healthy way. And those kids weren't raised well. And you can say that you loved them, And I don't doubt that you love them. All parents love their children. But some parents do horrible things. Some parents do terrible things to their children. And 1 week they might be saying something nice, and in the next moment they're doing something horrible to their children. Children that have been abused as much as you two were abused, and you, Don and Candus, were abused, are likely to be repeat offenders. And Candus Wells had some SA going on in her life, in her family, with her uncle, with all kinds of people in her family, and maybe even her own mother, allegedly. You don't know, because it could be. I said maybe. This could be happening. And even those people who have been, and even mothers who have been SA'd, can be a perpetrator against their own children, boys and girls. I heard a SA victim. I was listening to her testimony, but it was by her mother, and she said that for many years she could not. She had so much pain and fear when she went to the bathroom, because every time when she was little, her mother would go in there and stick things up in her and do things to her vagina, and it hurt. It was horrible pain. It was horrible shame. And so I'm just saying that it's not just a father who can do things. Mothers can do things. And I'm not saying that, Don and Candus, that you did anything. I'm just saying all these things are possibilities. And the fact that you did things in the past, Don, and that abuse, child abuse, has been on both your parts. Terrible living conditions. Both of you have had that in your past, and now you have it in your present. And you did not take care of the things, and you didn't do the things you were supposed to do. And you know what? God still loves you, Don and Candus, but you guys need to come forward about many things, and you don't want to. And there's people like Miss Daisy over here who think that she should be defending them. I don't know, Miss Daisy, do you have one of those where you need to be someone's hero or rescuer or savior? Because you are easily fooled if you are believing those two. And I'm not saying that Don and Candus did anything, but you're actually trusting con man, con woman, convicts, jailbirds, child abusers, and neglect. And that is proven from their past. It's on paperwork. It's on record. People like this do not, if they don't get help for their drinking and their drugs and for these kind of things, they will continue in their lifestyle, their unhealthy, toxic lifestyle. And that's what these Wells children grew up in. And I'm sorry if you don't like the truth. It's not slander. It's not slander. Good luck trying to sue Josh, Tim, and Don Wells. Good luck. He has not said anything that he didn't hear on YouTube from other creators, so you'll have to go sue them all. Good luck. And people have a right to their opinion, whether you like that opinion or not. We're not bullying you. We're not saying bad things. We're saying what we think or what we believe could have happened in this situation. Because usually people's past paint a picture of who they are right now. And I know that, like I said, for a fact. I just heard a parole board say that until people come to terms with all their failures and things that they've done, they cannot rehabilitate. And I don't think, Don and Candus, at this point, that you can. I mean, there's always deliverance and there's hope in God. But you guys are using God as a crutch and as a way to get people to feel sorry for you. And that's all. And I don't know what you've done to try to find Summer Wells, but you keep wanting to push theories out there about the dog trail. And I did not hear no sheriff say anything about the dog trail. Maybe to you he did, but I didn't hear it. I heard that it was at the driveway that the scent stopped. You made up some big thing about the dog trail, Don. You even went so far with Cam to have him carry a bag of potatoes. How bad do you need to push theories, Don? And for what reason? If you think, why would you have to push that? Their route, their way to convince us. Come on. If the police really believe that somebody else did it, Don and Candus, they would be after them. And if you thought that any of those people like Marlena or anyone did anything, you would have been after him a long time ago, because we know, Candus, we've seen your threatening Facebook posts, and we know for a fact, Candus, because it's on police record, that you held a gun on the CPS in your past. Yes. So we know that both of you are violent and abusive, and you raised your kids like this. And another thing, Don and Candus and Miss Daisy? Why don't you ask Don and Candus why they had so many sex offenders in their house and around their children? Why they had so many parties at their house? Why they were putting shaving cream on their kids' face when they were sleeping and think it's hilarious? Why they would just let drunk people stay at their house? And fighting and all these things going on. What do you think these people are? Precious church-going people? Well, they've really bamboozled you, and you really been deceived by them. That's all I can say. They've manipulated you really good, Miss Daisy. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be mean to you, but you are fooled. And it's silly. Miss Daisy, another thing I gotta say to you. You came out with some really bad nonsense stories. You said that Rose Bly was still alive. You made up a bunch of crazy stories that weren't even true, that were so far-fetched, and you spread them all over the internet. So who are you to talk about anything? And you just, Josh didn't need to defend himself, and neither did Trevor, because you are out of your mind in this situation. So good luck with all of this, because I think you're going to feel like crap when you find out the truth. So, anyways, that's all I had to say, everybody, because I was mad. Because I think it's ridiculous, that this is even any kind of bull crap, waste of time, having Pamela Wells talk on Miss Daisy's live Crazy Crime Critters on the Farm. Go check it out. Go see the craziness, because she's talking, and this ex-drug addict, this ex-person who got evicted, who was in an abusive relationship with Don and had her own problems, this person is going to say that Don and her had a great relationship and they didn't do nothing wrong and blah, blah, blah. Donnie never did nothing wrong. She's lying through her teeth. There's records, paper records on her. So she needs to give it up. And we know that Candus said she feared for her and her children's life. that she was afraid he was going to do something. We know the truth, Don and Candus. We know. So what? Okay, so you didn't do anything. We're supposed to believe you didn't do anything this summer. So, okay, so what are we gonna do? How are we gonna find her, Don and Candus? Where do you suggest we look? Since you know all this, where should we look, Don and Candus? It's not like we haven't been trying to figure it out. I know I have for like almost 2 years now, talking about it nonstop, praying about it nonstop, worrying about it nonstop, worrying about your daughter. Because you two seemed like you were on some drunken, having a good time. And now you're all somber and sad. Whatever, give me a break. I don't fall for none of your nonsense. And, you've said most of the things that we know, Don. Anything we know, it's because you told us and Candus told us, or your friends that are witnesses. So, go sue them. They're the ones who told us. So, anyways, I hope everybody has a nice night. I'm sorry if you didn't like my content tonight, but I had to say something about this because it's bull crap. Go over to Bullhorn Betty's and check out that video that I showed you. Pamela Wells, 71, and still going to jail. Yep. So go check that out. Go check out Don's criminal record on her channel, and you'll see the truth. Anyways, whatever, Miss Daisy, if you want to say something to me, you go ahead. But I'm sorry I'm calling you out for this, and it's nonsense. And you shouldn't be taking Don and Candus' side. I don't care. But if you want to, have fun doing that. But poor Summer Wells, what if they did something completely horrible to her? Are you going to feel okay before God and Jesus that you stood up for these people and defended them, knowing that they hurt his little angel in heaven? You're going to feel like crap. You will. But anyways, I'll rest my case. I'll say I said my piece. I love everybody. Keep Summer's name out there. Summer Moon Utah Wells, missing from Rogersville, Tennessee. She was 5 years old when she went missing. She had a shaved head with blonde, very, very short hair. She was only 40 pounds, 3 feet tall. And if you have any information of where you think she might be, or if you've seen something that day, June 15th, please call 1-800-TBI-FINE and give them your tip. Thank you. God bless everyone. Thank you for being here and hanging out. Have a happy Saturday night, Sunday. Bye.